So, I'm here because I had a moment, and this was now weeks ago that I had this experience, but we were in the middle of Women's History Month, so it didn't fit. So I said to Rick at one point, I have something I'd like to share, but I need to wait until we're done with History Month. So here we are. So he reached out to me this week and he said, well, what are you going to call what you have to say? And I can promise you that I won't speak as long as I've been known to speak previously. So for all of you who are cold. And I said, how about metaphor for a moment? Because that's really what it was. But then I got to thinking about Julia's insistence on saying, this is not a moment, it's a movement, right? And I thought that she was giving homage to Lin-Manuel Miranda, who said it in the musical Hamilton, in the song Not Throwing Away My Shot. He said, it's not a moment, it's a movement. But apparently that's a famous line that's been used by many of people, so I'm going to join in. So I wrote this as a metaphor for our movement. So a few weeks ago, I had this interesting experience, and first I have to show you. Y'all never knew that I have an eagle. Not a real eagle. So I don't know how well you can see that. You could look at it afterwards. But this guy's at the end of my driveway. And what happened was this perfect metaphor for our political movement today. And I love to recognize those when they happen in my life. So this guy is at the end, and he's carved out of the trunk of a tree. He's one continuous piece of sculpture. And when I saw it, the first time I ever drove by it, I fell in love with it and had to pull into the guy's driveway to find out how I could get one for my own. So I bought it, and he brought it. And it is very heavy because it's a tree. So I was out when he delivered it, and I had a space picked out at the top of my hill to put it on, but I could not budge the thing. And he found his perfect way to the end of my driveway. And so he marks the end of my driveway. And I embellished him with a flag that's both an American flag and a flag for LGBTQ. So I put him on a platform of 2x4s, two 2x4s, and we've had some significant weather in the last couple years. He's been there for a couple years, and he's never even teetered or toppled. And then, I don't know if you remember, probably about a month ago now, that ferocious wind and rainstorm that we had that came through. So I left my house one morning to go to work, and just out of the periphery of my vision, I noticed that something wasn't right at the end of the driveway. And sure enough, when I directed my full attention to it, I saw that my eagle had toppled over. And the thought crossed my mind as I had to get into the car that I hope that's not our democracy today. I hope this isn't a metaphor for what's going on in our lives. So I went down the driveway and tested to see if I could lift the eagle up, but he's very heavy, like I said. So I had to continue on with my errands, and I roped in a friend later on in the day, and he came over and we stood the thing back up. And once we stood him back up, I could see why he had fallen down. We had a whole bunch of weather that happened in those 2 years, so that was what was so phenomenal, like why that rainstorm was the one. So we amazingly found that a chipmunk had tunneled underneath one of the 2x4s, and then the rain and the wind that came through was able to erode more ground underneath it, and that's why it fell over. So here's the takeaway for my metaphor. It fell down, but it did not break. It took the work of more than one person to secure it back into its position, but he is standing again proudly at the end of my driveway. It required consideration to think about why did he fall down. And it was instigated by a tiny creature tunneling away in secret. So, when the universe offers to conspires to give you a metaphor like this, you got to take notice. So, taking care and acting on these issues allowed me to write my eagle, and then it became clear to me that we must do the same for our democracy. There you go. So I have one more thought, because today is week 254. I have a bad association with the number 254 because as a critical care nurse working in the hospital for years, that's what we used to page overhead when we had a cardiac arrest. You would say code 254, cell in tunnel 3, room 254, and we would all run to that room and try to resuscitate our patient. So anytime it comes up, whether it's the amount of gas I put in the car or the change I get back from the grocery store, I've always shuddered to think of that. And Rick actually offered me something that can turn this whole thing around, because as we were bought by Yale, we went to adult medical emergency, so we don't use this number anymore. But I can in my head say 254 means that we should all rush to the assistance of our democracy. So, with that said, at week 254, I'm going to lead us out. Are you fired up and ready to go? Let me know. Fired up?
Fired up!
Ready to go?
Ready to go!
Fired up?
Fired up!
Ready to go?
Ready to go!
Fired up?
Fired up!
Ready to go?
Ready to go!
Let's go save the world and prove that hate has no home here in Southbury or anywhere else.